Ave Legion and welcome to my channel. My name is Ludi and today we'll be doing our EU4 1.30 starting moves guide for Hungary. In this video we'll be going over the achievements, the estates and economy, diplomacy and rivals, the Balkan Wars, how to prevent becoming a junior partner under Austria, as well as your missions and ideas. Before we start the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, commented, as well as subscribe and leave the bell button on if you like to get notified whenever I release new guides. And if we can get this video to 900 likes, then I am going to do a giveaway for an EU4 DLC or the base game. An achievement particular to Hungary is Take That von Habsburgs, where you need to own all of Austria as core provinces as Hungary. When discussing the estates, the first thing we want to do is summon the Diet and go for whichever agenda best suits us, followed by seizure of land that gives us another 5% crownlands, bringing us up to 40% almost, since Hungary is one of the very few nations that actually starts off with 35% crownlands. This means that we can give the +1 mana per month privilege to the nobility, but before we do so we need to dev up a province once. Since we actually have 39.995%, I recommend that you dev up Pest, as it is your capital and you do have some bonuses when deving up, and you should also encourage development before doing so, as it's only going to cost you 31 admin to dev it up. Finally, we can give out the primacy of the nobility without having to worry about any negative crownland effects. This is especially good since you start off with a regency and a base 3 value without anything else, so it will help you out quite a lot. Don't worry about the regency, however, as it is going to go away very shortly. So the privileges that we'll be giving the nobility will be the primacy of the nobility, supremacy over the crown, and the monopolies on livestock. For the clergy, we'll be giving monopoly on wool and wine, and for the burghers, monopoly on textiles, free enterprises, and the exclusive trade rights that give us another 3 mercantilism, which means that we start off with 17 mercantilism before we even on pause. That is insane, especially since we hold out 60% of the trade node, and after our initial conquest of Wallachia, we're gonna basically hold out close to 80% of the trade node and 100% after we get more mercantilism and we integrate Croatia. Economically speaking, Hungary is getting a lot of its income from trade as well as taxation, but it does have a few aces up its sleeve. First off, we have the gold mine in Hont, which we should dev up to an optimal of 10 production, so we get about 5 ducats from it. And after our first conquest, we should be taking over the second gold mine in Kosovo, which means that by the 1450s we should have 2 gold mines within our nation. That's going to be insanely OP, as we can get basically around 10 ducats flat just from these 2 gold mines. When discussing the rivals, you should always rival the Ottomans together with the Lithuanians very early on, and then the third rival is really RNG, as if the Polish rivaled you, then you should rival them back. If they didn't rival you, then you should rival the Venetians. The reason for this is because one of our first and most important missions is the old alliances, where you can either ally the Polish and get up to 190 relations to fulfill the mission, or you have to rival the Polish and have more troops than them, which means above 21 units. So you start off with 18 units, that means you got to get some more troops, and we're going to be hiring the Grand Company and setting them up in the province of Békés. So now, what are we going to go for allies? The first option is always going to be the Austrians. It is extremely important that you go for the Austrians. And as a second ally, you have a lot of options. Most of the HRE wants to ally you, even the Bosnians and Wallachians a lot of the time will, and even the Aragonese sometimes want to ally you, but we want to go for the Teutonic Order if they did not get rivaled by the Austrians, or if they didn't rival the Austrians. Although if they rival the Austrians, they still want to go for the alliance with you. You might just have to improve relations with them a little bit if need be. However, if the Austrians rival them, then do not ally, as you want to keep the alliance with Austria. Having the Teutons is good because you're going to be fighting off the Poles soon, and they're going to help you out from the north. We also start off with the Croatians as a junior member and a PU under us, so that means we have 3 out of 4 Diplo slots already taken. If you'd really like to, you can also get an alliance with Milan. You just need to improve relations for 1 month and then you can get the alliance afterwards. However, I recommend keeping the slot open, as we're going to be going for the Wallachians as our first target, and we're going to be vassalizing them. Fulfilling the old alliances gives us a permanent claim on both the Moldavian and the Wallachian states, so we're going to start bringing our troops to the border in Királyford as well as Temes, and once the mercenary army finishes in Békés, we're going to bring them into Hunyad. Whilst all of this is happening, make sure that you start getting a claim on both Bosnia and Serbia. It does happen a lot of the times that Wallachia has its independence guaranteed by the Ottomans, and if that happens, that we will not attack Wallachia. Instead, we will be attacking Bosnia or Serbia. However, if the Ottomans do not guarantee Wallachia, then most surely they will guarantee Serbia. Then we're going to be attacking the Bosnians, and they will be calling in their Serbian allies. Make sure not to co-belligerate Serbia in that case, since that's going to call in the Ottomans, and we don't want that. You also start off with Janos Hunyadi as a general, and he is a beast of a general, but do not put him in charge of any army. We want to make the most to keep him out of harm's way, as it is crucial that Janos Hunyadi survives until 1455 at least. After you get the mercenary units, you can enact the old alliances, and as I previously mentioned, you get both Moldavia and Wallachia as permanent claims. The Diet of 1445 can trigger in January 1445, or it can trigger in December 1445, so it is super RNG, but it is definitely 1445. So it's going to give you two options: to elect Janos Hunyadi as the leader of the nation with Ladislav Postumus as your heir, or to get a regency council and one stability and Ladislav von Habsburg as the heir. Go for Janos Hunyadi, of course, and you have to be really careful. Now, Janos Hunyadi must survive until 1455, when a second event triggers at the coming of age of Ladislav Postumus, when we're going to be getting the option of either keeping Ladislav Postumus as our leader, which means that we're going to be in a PU under Austria, or we can get Janos Hunyadi's dynasty on the throne with Matthias Hunyadi, or Matthias Corvinus as he's most commonly known because of all the vampire movies. And as such, we will be an independent nation and not in a PU under Austria. Do remember that if he dies, then you're gonna most likely end up in a PU under them, unless you get some pretender rebels and you let them enforce demands. So it is vital that he survives until 1455. Hungary also starts off with some Orthodox provinces, and if you wish to switch on over to Orthodoxy, it is available, and it is actually a good idea since Orthodox is probably the best religion in the game. If you like to, you can start by triggering the rebellion, start sending a missionary in a province that takes a super long time to convert. That's gonna start bringing you Orthodox rebels, and when they come, let them siege out a lot of provinces so that you can become an Orthodox nation. I also recommend that you go to your Diplo screen and set Telja as a province of vital interest so that the Croatians start building up a claim on this province. And whenever you do get Janos Hunyadi as your leader, if the Ottomans did not proclaim guarantee the Wallachians, then you should attack them. As previously mentioned, if they don't guarantee the Wallachians, most likely they will be guaranteeing the Serbians. So the spy network that you have there, keep it though, as we're gonna still claim the provinces, but we will be attacking Bosnia in the second war so that we can reach Serbia as well. So first off, we're gonna be attacking the Wallachians here, and we're gonna set Severin, which is the closest province, as our war goal. So if you attack on the first or the earlier part of the month, then they're not gonna have enough time to maintain this, and you just take the fort within the first month. I was late by about 5 days, so I am gonna have to siege down this fort, but in your game, you're gonna do the right thing. 90% of the times, the Wallachians will ally Herzegovina, as it is the literally only nation that they can ally. So send a detachment of your army and wipe them out, and just piece them out fast, as you're not interested in anything from there right now, and we want to have a 5 years truce, as in 1450 we're gonna be attacking them again with a much better casus belli. I also recommend getting a general. If you're lucky, you get a siege pip. If you're not lucky like me, you get no siege pip. Still, do not use Janos Hunyadi to siege down these provinces. It is tempting. In 3 of my games, Janos Hunyadi died while sieging Târgoviște. Peace out Herzegovina with a white piece so that you can attack them again in 1450. After you get the first claim on Bosnia, as well as whatever claim you get on Serbia, you can start your war, but I recommend waiting until you at least finish the war in Wallachia so that you can use all of your troops in the wars against Serbia, Bosnia, and Telja. I say Telja because almost always Bosnia allies just Serbia and Telja. After you finish sieging all of Wallachia, make them your vassal, and that's going to give you quite a bit of aggressive expansion and can lower your Diplo points, but it's not a massive deal, and having Wallachia is quite important as it's gonna provide us with a strong nation to defend us into the south against the Ottomans, and it also gives us the mission Control Wallachia that gives us permanent claims on all of Serbia and Wallachia. This means that we even get one claim on the province of Cataro in Venice. So now we're gonna be attacking the Bosnians, and you cannot co-belligerate the Serbians, otherwise they're gonna call in the Ottomans and you're done in if you do that. So attack Bosnia and start sieging everything that you see in front of your eyes. Go for the fort and Smederevo. Around this time you should have enough points to get a second general. Still not lucky with the siege pip, oh my dear lord. Wipe out the enemy armies whenever they're separate so they don't unify and fight off against you together. Make sure that you tell your vassals to siege together like best buddies, everything down. And remember to improve relations with the Wallachians. If you really need to, you can also placate ruler, but that's going to cost you 20 prestige and it's not really worth it. You should finish this war fairly easy, and once you do, peace out the non-co-belligerated nations first, namely Serbia. You want the gold mine in Kosovo, and you also want to cut off the Ottomans from taking any Serbian land, so take Braničevo, Niš, as well as Kosovo. It is vital that you take these three provinces. It is going to cost you a lot of aggressive expansion, but the coalition that's going to trigger is Moldavia, Byzantium, and Herzegovina, so it's really just a joke, let's be honest. After we take over the Serbian provinces, we should either annex Telje. It's going to give us a small coalition of nations we don't need to worry about, and it's going to get rid of this horrible country that can cause so much harm in the future. Or we can leave it there, ask to cancel its alliance with impossibly huge nations that for some reason always ally it, and just ask it to give us trade power as well as war reparations and the prestige that we get from canceling all of the alliances. If you do want to actually integrate Telje, then I recommend you wait for 2 more years or at least 1 more year so your AE goes down a bit. As next up, we do need to vassalize Bosnia, and this is absolutely important that you do vassalize them. Also end their rivalry with Herzegovina so you get the prestige from it. And now with the Bosnians as our vassal, we can attack Herzegovina and take back the cores that we have on both of these provinces. Until that time, however, we do need to make sure that they are loyal, so we're gonna have to send some diplomats to improve relations in Bosnia as well. Don't forget to core the newly added provinces and make sure you lower the autonomy when needed, as we want to keep this at 0 to get the most out of these provinces. This is gonna trigger rebels, of course, and you want them to trigger the rebels as you want to kill them off and get rid of rebellions. Also, I got a super good event here where I can kill off my heir, and this basically means that I don't need to worry about falling into a PU under the Austrians. Of course, pray for his life. Oh no, Ladislav, no! You had such a bright future, you piece of... It is not guaranteed that you're gonna get that event, however, and you cannot disinherit him. So now we have almost all of the Balkans within our grasp. Having 2 vassals also means that we can get the Strung Duchies privilege, which gives us +2 Diplo relation slots and -10 Liberty Desire in both of these bad boys. So starting from 1450, you can get the event which is going to let you either choose Matthias Corvinus as the first Hungarian king from the Huniadi line. This will also kill off János Huniadi, and you're going to switch on over to Matthias. This will give the Austrians a restoration of Union CB and will remove them as historical friends. But if you're allied to the Austrians, you don't need to worry. The CB is going to expire by the time that they actually finish their truce if they choose to cancel the alliance. Second option would give you 1 stability, but you're gonna become a junior partner of Austria as well as inherit Croatia. However, do not go for the second option. Go for the first one, and you're gonna get Matthias Corvinus as your king. A lot of the times the Ottomans do attack Albania. In my case, they attacked Byzantium now, but afterwards they will definitely switch on over and attack Albania. Albania in 1.30 allies Naples a lot, I noticed, and always is guaranteed by the Venetians, so it's great to also guarantee their independence. When it comes to developing the mines in Hont as well as the mine in Kosovo, what I recommend is that you use your initial Diplo power and just dev it up a little bit. Remember to also encourage development before that, and even just getting it to around 8 development means that you're gonna get a massive amount of income. That is 6 gold from just 8 development in Hont as well as 3 development in Kosovo. Remember to also lower the autonomy to get more cash out of it. You're sacrificing some of your Diplo power points at the start, but it's worth it in the long run since you're gonna basically gain in a huge amount of cash from the start, so you don't need to worry about your economy in the wars to come against the Ottomans. The best time to strike against the Ottomans is gonna be once they attack Albania, whether you proclaim guarantee Albania and you join the war on the Albanian side, or you just let them fight it off and then you swoop in afterwards and take whatever you need from the Ottomans. Whichever option you go for, definitely that is the moment to attack the Ottomans. When discussing the mission tree, the top part, especially the right hand side of the top part, relies basically on developing your nation and gives you specific short-term bonuses for that. The starting left hand side of the mission tree, however, as I previously showed, can give you permanent claims on Moldavia, Wallachia, followed by Serbia, and once we control Serbia, the rest of the Balkan areas here, as well as getting claims on Lithuania after we control Moldavia, and even a restoration of Union casus belli on Naples, which we can use after we fully integrated Bosnia. If we build 3 forts on the border with the Ottomans, we also get a permanent claim on all of Bulgaria and Silistria, and then securing that gives us more claims on Macedonia, Thrace, as well as the rest of Greece afterwards. You even get the event The Greeks in Constantinople, which basically turns over the culture from Turkish to Greek if we enact it. After the Hungarian succession is finished, and one of the options are basically either Matthias Corvinus has taken over or it is the year 1457 and we are not a regency council, then we get permanent claims on the Moravian and Lusacian areas. That means we get claims on pretty much the eastern parts of Bohemia and their vassals as well, followed up by a PU restoration on Bohemia itself, and this is even gonna give us a special event that lets us join the HRE even though we are above 100 development, later on even giving us a CB to restore our personal union on Austria itself. As our last mission, we can change our government type to an empire, and we get until the end of the game diplo annexation cost minus 10% and legitimacy as well. We can also get diplomats +1 and max promoted culture +1 until the end of the game if we manage to get the Jagiellonian Union. Basically, we need to own the north part of Poland. If played properly, Hungary has the potential to own pretty much all of the Balkans and the central part of Europe by the 1500s. When it comes to your ideas, I recommend that you go for economic ideas first, as you desperately will need the national bank idea in particular, which gives you yearly inflation reduction minus 0.10, as you're gonna get a lot of inflation from your gold mines. Remember that gold mines give you gold but also give you inflation, so having both the Hunt mine and the Kosovo mine up to around 8 dev production means that you're gonna get a super high amount of inflation that you're gonna need to bring down. As a second idea, I highly recommend going for quantity ideas, as you need to fight off Austrians, Ottomans, and Commonwealth, which have a lot of troops, and you need to bolster your numbers as well. Not to mention, economic plus quantity gives you minus 10 dev cost, which together with the economic ideas minus 20 dev cost means that you can dev up pest for around 10 mana points per development in the 1480s. This is 100 years earlier than you would expect to see that number. Not to mention, most of Hungary is either farmlands or grasslands, so that means that you have the best area to develop in the early game. As a third idea, I would recommend religious, since you're gonna need the extra missionaries and missionary strength, as well as the 75% aggressive expansion CB against other faiths. And religious with quantity also gives you plus 10 morale of armies from the policy, so it is a super good mix going economic, quantity, and religious in that order. If you're also deciding to go orthodox, then you basically have all of the Catholic European nations to your west and the Muslims to the south to fight off, and basically you're getting 75 AE instead of 100. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as leave the bell button on so that you can get notified whenever I release new guides like these. And I also want to really thank my patrons so much. It really means a lot to me that you guys are actually supporting me through Patreon. And if anybody else would like to join my Patreon team, then you can check the link in the description. So until the next one, guys, have a great day. I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the light. I don't know now. And that's a stack wop. Doo-doo. That is a stack wipe. Doo-doo. I just stacked wipe everybody's armies. Yep, 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 yep. Boo-doo-doo. I just stack wiped your army. Yeah, I stack wiped your troops. Ba-dum-wa-dum.